All right. So I'd like to talk a bit about what's going on at Illinois EPA, but give you kind of a state, regional, national, maybe international picture on what's going on with climate change policy. That's my main area of focus at Illinois EPA. Even though we're a state agency, we do work on national and international climate change issues. So I thought I'd give you a bit of a sense of what we've been doing and where I see the issue progressing over the next year. It's been a wild ride over the last 12 to 18 months on climate policy, and lots of you, I'm sure, are tracking what's been going on both nationally and internationally. And Peter asked me to kind of reflect on what are the biggest changes in the last year, and the biggest change is President Obama and the tremendous change in federal policy and federal leadership. In 2006, 2007, when the former administration was in the White House, there wasn't leadership on these issues. In fact, there was active resistance. And so that meant that states like Illinois, where we had forward-looking leadership, both in the governor's office and at the state agency level, worked with other states to try and move the issue forward. And so we began developing a climate plan for Illinois in 2006. And in 2007, we started working across the Midwest and across the nation to develop regional plans, thinking that, well, if there's no federal policy, at least we can assert leadership at the state level. And we can put programs in place that can be a proxy for a federal program if a federal program doesn't exist. Now, we're still working on those issues, but now we have President Obama and US EPA and Lisa Jackson at the US EPA. And we have a stimulus package with a tremendous amount of resources and investment moving into the clean energy space. So 2009 brought tremendous change in federal leadership. US EPA just a few weeks ago issued their endangerment finding on basically determining that greenhouse gases are in fact a pollutant under the Clean Air Act that must be regulated, and they did that investigation pursuant to a US Supreme Court decision from 3 years ago. There's now a move by some Republicans in the US Senate to try and override US EPA's endangerment findings. So we're actively, even today, working on getting letters written to try and build some momentum to try and get the Senate to reject that proposal to override US EPA. So we've seen the California car initiative supported by US EPA that have been rejected in the past. We have the endangerment finding that greenhouse gases are a pollutant and must be regulated under the Clean Air Act. We have the Waxman-Markey bill. We have the Kerry-Boxer bill. We have the stimulus package. We have the president taking leadership role at the COP15 meeting in Copenhagen just a couple weeks ago. And so there's been a tremendous change in momentum, a tremendous change in the acceptance, I think, of all different actors across the economy that it's inevitable that we're going to have a price on carbon. Now, the question is, when are we going to have that price? Now, in Illinois, we started modeling, doing computer models, economic models a few years ago, trying to figure out what does this mean for jobs, what does this mean for the Illinois economy, what does this mean for our environment. And we determined that if we have an economy-wide program, not just a cap and trade program that's focused on power plants like exist in the East Coast, but if we touch all the major polluters in our economy, and we wrap that with renewable energy programs, energy efficiency programs, and a whole suite of clean energy and environmental programs, we can not only reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but we can create a tremendous number of jobs, and we can actually boost the Illinois economy and grow our GDP. And we're finding that not only in Illinois, but also regionally in our work with the Midwest Governors Association. So there's been a real change in the acceptance that there will be a price on carbon. But what happened in Copenhagen is a bit of a, while momentum was preserved at some fundamental level, it's led to global fragmentation in the debate, which I think is creating some challenges for 2010. In Copenhagen, if President Obama had not insinuated himself at the last minute to try and save what otherwise I think would have been almost a total loss of a meeting, emerged with the Copenhagen Accord, which I think provides a platform for moving forward. But it created some fragmentation where Brazil, China, India, South Africa, the United States, and a few other large emitters have sort of split off from the EU, from developing nations in terms of trying to frame the debate going forward. So, which has led to some confusion, has led to a crash in the price of carbon allowances on the Chicago Climate Exchange and international markets, although the EU trading scheme, the price there has been somewhat stable. But there's a lot of uncertainty, and So I think that businesses that understand that they're going to have to make investments going forward, they're going to have to develop sustainability plans, they're going to have to not only document and report their emissions to US EPA through the mandatory reporting rule, which is another victory from the last year. But they're also sitting on their hands, not sure if they're going to hire someone to manage their greenhouse gas risk and that liability issue. Not sure if they're really going to institute sustainability practices until they see a clear policy direction from Washington. So I think while we've had tremendous momentum, tremendous acceptance, tremendous leadership over the last 12 months, that uncertainty factor, I think, is creating some degree of stasis, combined with the credit crisis over the last 2 years, that the level of investment in the kinds of clean tech, green infrastructure, renewable energy projects that all of us would like to see first came to a screeching halt, and now are coming back with the help of stimulus money and the help of some loosening in the credit markets.
Another minute or so.
I'm sorry?
Another minute?
Okay. So what can you guys do? You can obviously get involved and vote for candidates who are going to be pushing these issues forward. You can also get involved in organizations like Henry's organization, NRDC. The Illinois Sierra Club is a membership-based organization. Environment Illinois, also a membership-based organization. But the rules and laws we have in the books now, while in Illinois, for example, we have a renewable energy standard of 25% by 2025. We have an energy efficiency standard of 2% by the year 2015. You can push for more aggressive standards, for broader implementation. You should be working with state and local governments here in Illinois, and also be pushing for comprehensive federal legislation, not only on clean energy policy, which is, I think, the minimum that we need, but we also need a comprehensive economy-wide cap and trade program. And so if the Democrats lose their majority in the next year, that's going to make things much harder. So I would encourage you to continue your level of political involvement, step it up a notch, and continue all your own personal behavioral commitments to walking and biking and composting, et cetera. So that's the quick snapshot.